Folks. Good day, folks. We're live. We're back. Lyndon, I'm calling it season 5. I didn't get a chance to tell you. I'm calling it season 5 because it says
Season
no,
5.
season 4. Is it season 5, season 4, season 5?
It's season.
Fabian,
It would well, no, we're still in season 4. Season 5 hasn't started yet.
what? All right, we're back, Reshma. Just wanted to get everything right. Hold on. I just want to add Lyndon
We're
in.
in the second half of season 4.
Century requested, buddy. Folks, tonight we're talking about stop selling, keep asking. Right? And then as usual, I have to bring our guest on. Right. Got it there. Anna Shamli, good night. Lovely. Lyndon is in the building. I know there's a lot of yellow on tonight. I didn't think the stuff was so yellow into everything. Woo. Right. Lyndon is in the building. Good night, my brother. Up.
Good night.
Yes, now.
Linking live with Lyndon and Gerald. And we're back today. Gerald just stopped doing it because he fed up with linking live.
No, I'm not.
Don't forget that the big moon is out. Don't forget that the big moons are out tonight. I was just watching it. I'm sorry, Dad.
Okay, cool. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Down.
Bye.
Later. Close the door behind you properly.
Daddy,
Bye.
I promised I was going to watch the full moon together.
Right, you're watching it with mommy. I'm coming back after Lyndon and I do need live. All
Watch
right.
after.
Woo.
You have your headphones plugged in on your thing? I hear myself on your end.
Yeah, why am I? Hold on. What's echoing? Sorry about that, folks. That doesn't know what's echoing. But, folks, tonight we're talking about sub asking and let's do more selling. Yeah, I'm connected on my mic.
All right. Well, we'll continue. Good night, Juma.
No, hold on. I think I did. Yes, I plugged in the wrong. No, I plugged in the right headphones. Hold on. Test. Why am I hearing
So
the
while-
headphones?
Yeah, while
Talk?
JB.
Oh, is this not connected?
Yeah, while JB is organizing, we're talking about stop selling, but we just want to give a little bit of an update as to what we've been doing. Well, post conference, or for those of you who have not been at the conference was an excellent success. We have one of our speakers here, Juma. Again, thank you for all of the knowledge that you actually shared on the day. It was excellent. Things sound good now, JB. I'm not hearing.
Yeah, drop all the volume.
All right. So yeah, Juma, we had a blast. Juma delivered some excellent knowledge on the day, as well as all of the other speakers. The feedback so far has been excellent. And as always, we took a little break, just to kind of recollaborate ourselves, because leading into the conference is sometimes be extremely exhausting.
It was.
Yeah, and now we are in the second half of the year, so we're just pushing to get the momentum going for the rest of the year, So, JB, anything I missed there?
No, I think that is it. I think I agree with you. It's been this conference was absolutely fantastic. Thank you to everybody who came out. A lot of new relationships and stuff were made there, which I'm extremely happy about. And of course, we set the bar high again. And let's not say we set the bar. Tisha and Lizelle and Tanisa really set the bar with their amazing work that they continue to deliver and put together for us. I'm extremely happy for that. But yeah, I immediately just wanted to come out the gate because I know Lyndon and I have been on the back end, really talking about what we want to be doing for the conference going forward. I think the same week when the conference finished, Lyndon, I sent you my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
That's when things were really burning in. So just to give you an idea, folks, next week we would literally be hitting the ground running with guests on the show. We want to start off with women in particular. We're always looking for women in sales, and we found a couple, so we just have to convince them to be on the show and spend some time with us, which I think would be really valuable for the audience from a local perspective. And yeah, we are making sure that we continue to add value. And I think one of the things everybody asked for was guests. So as we hit the topic tonight, because it's something that
before you do, let's give them so we have just two more updates. Apart from that, we are going to be doing we are going to be adding, we want to continuously keep adding the value to the community as we go along. So we want to make some updates to our Facebook page. That's one. Secondly, we will be hosting monthly webinars on specific topics as it relates to sales. And also we are going to be relaunching a few things as it relates to our website. We are opening the same thing that we did this year as it relates to opening the floor for speakers. We are also going to open the floor. So people who didn't get the opportunity to speak, we are actually opening the floor to for persons to contribute their content, whether it's blog related content, or if you want to put together a video and Jared and I write the rest of the body that supports what you're doing. That is going to be available as well because of the fact that we have so many knowledgeable people and skilled people in the community. So look out for that.
Yep.
So we are going to be opening it up to guest speakers, apart from just people coming onto the show, but we also want to look at guest writers. You write your own particular blog, you will be featured, it will be tied back to all of your respective social platforms. Again, the goal is towards building the community and also highlighting the talent that we have here in the region. Yeah,
And as Gail is excited about the monthly webinar, so for those of you on Instagram and LinkedIn, drop it in the comments now. Tell us what topics you'd like us to talk about. But I'm actually very excited for those updates in particular. I definitely want to start hitting off those monthly webinars as soon as possible. I think we're aiming to start the first one at probably the end of July, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll probably switch it mid-month. So we'll tell you what's the topic and everything. So good night, Sylvia. Good night, Gail, Juma, Nick Reed, etc. So Cassia, Callum Baird, etc. But I as we get into the topic tonight, one of the things we want to talk about is to stop selling. I think, and every time I've done this with my coaching clients for the last month, they understand it. They don't get it at first, but they understand it. And I wanted to share with you all tonight why it's important. And what I mean by stop selling and keep asking, it's simple. When we talk to our clients, what I keep seeing people do when I'm listening on their calls or when we role play is that if you're listening to the client and the client says, I have a problem, your immediate response is your product or solution.
That's
right?
correct.
And I think that is absolutely wrong. And if anybody tells you otherwise, please stop listening to them, because what you're doing is really selling it short. And I'll let Lyndon dive into why he might think it's an error, what he's been seeing on his end. But for me, if I've tested all 10 persons on it, if the customer tells you the problem, what do you say next? It's always about their product and solution.
Yeah. So I would say that the main thing that has been happening is that we have been taught to pitch. Like every time that we do something, we have to include the company name, we have to include the brand name. So if it's a copier or laptop, or if it's just the name of our business, we always want to stick that in there. But really and truly, that does not, in today's world in sales, it does not augur well. Sometimes just offering the brand's name doesn't add any additional value. So that view. So I would always start with this. I cannot remember so let me just jump in on a biblical side real short with it. There's a verse that I like that says, in everything that you do, seek understanding. I'll say it again. In everything
Love
that you
it.
do, seek understanding. Right?
I'm writing
So
that
it
down.
means that if I am reaching out to someone to help them, or I'm trying to figure out as to what issues this person has, more than likely I need to understand exactly what I just said. I need to understand, where are you? What is your starting point? What are the things that you've done? Because unless I understand those things, then I wouldn't know where do you need the help.
Exactly.
However, we normally get into a mode where as soon as we get the opportunity to have a conversation with someone, we go into some falsehoods. And some of those falsehoods is that we move from prospecting the customer, then meeting the customer, then straight into sales pitch. And for me, I have learned the hard way, because I used to be that kind of salesperson, because that's what I was taught, right? But I eventually recognized that my sales were dropping short because I was just pitching. And that I see that happening now, JB, because I see automotive sales reps giving away flyers or giving out all the information up front and not
Understanding.
feeding in anything to get understanding. So I will say that first. Let me lead with that. In everything that you do, get understanding. And if that has to be the kickoff, then to get understanding means that you need to ask questions first. And those questions are going to help you eventually sell better. But let's see, Chris. You can go ahead now, bro.
No, absolutely agree. So good night to everybody who's joining us. So my thing is, and I'll probably share this like next week in like a carousel or something for our audience. Hi, Alison. Good night. So that people could kind of see it in another form. But here's the first things first that I will let you folks know. Think about all the times you interact with a customer and the customer tells you they want something. Your response should only be why.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
if you come, like, honestly, even people who ask me, HR, I need to get some LinkedIn services, I might ask them, okay, so why you think you need it?
But that
Or you
sounds
can,
rude, Jared. Why are you even asking? I tell you I want LinkedIn services. Why are you asking me why?
because I need to know why you need to use it, because we have seen a lot of cases. Let's just put it this way, because we have people in different sectors and in different segments. A lot of people ask you if your product or service, and they have a misunderstanding of what the product or service can actually do for them. So
Mhm.
they're taking it for the wrong reason. And let's look at it in some real cases. Let's think about it as somebody buying a car from you, but it's to load sand and work on a quarry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You just
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I get a sale for a car. No, you're not, bro. You setting up yourself a headache.
Yep.
Like, even when, like, I always remember when you would ask, when I was in phone sales, you ask the customer what it is that they're using their phone for.
Yeah.
So
Right
so
now.
many
Yeah.
times, so many times customers will come in this one, they always ask for the cheapest phone. Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why you think this one is your best option? And you
Mhm.
might think it's being rude, or you can switch it around and say, no problem. What do you hope by achieving to get this?
Yeah.
But I ask them honestly, I say, and the thing is, pay attention to your tone. You can literally say, hey, well, why do you think you need this? Like, but you have to ask. And for anybody who might think it's rude, if you ever went to your doctor and told him a problem and he immediately had a solution after you told him the first
Get
thing,
out.
run. That's a quack.
I can write you that prescription. Wait is you want? You know. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
but that is the right thing. So the goal is okay. So you use the doctor line. You use the doctor thing. I'm going to use the doctor line. I'm feeling prophetic tonight, right? So prescription before analysis is malpractice. I'm pretty sure a lot of you all would have heard that before. So I'll say it again. Prescription before analysis or prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. All right. So again, it all comes down to exactly what Jared says. We need to be in a position where here's a couple of things. It's not just even about trying to see if you want you want to offer the right solution to the customer. You also want to see if you and that customer are a good fit. Because sometimes what the customer wants, while you could provide the service to them, it may not be in your or their best interest that you all have this relationship. That
Yep.
might sound real strange, but it's a reality. I'm pretty sure, and I'm even speaking from my entrepreneurial side of things, and I'm even speaking from my corporate world side of things. There have been times where we've gotten customers, or we got customers, and we say, "Oh my God, I wish I'd left this customer where I found them." Yeah,
Remember that happened
because
to me the other day? And I'd given that story. That happened to me the
yeah,
other day. And I was so glad I pulled the plug on. I literally sent the client back their money
yeah,
after they told me some things. It's like, listen, this is not going to work out. Like, I'm giving you back your money. Like, it was that bad.
yeah.
Like,
So in the essence of fit, because you want to be able to align yourself with the right type of customer that does this kind of that you could perform at your highest level for them because we're providing the service to them, right? So by slowing down how you sell or by not selling at all, especially initially, you get the opportunity of understanding more, and because of what you understand, it even gives you the ability for those of us who are in the corporate space to go back to our managers, excuse me, and say, listen, here's what I think that we need to do for this particular client, because these are the things that we actually discovered. Because if you don't do that, sometimes you could be underselling yourself, and you might be
mhm.
thinking the customer wouldn't buy that, but you didn't take the time to understand. So now you're hesitant on asking because you've messed out and you messed up your discovery. And then from there, the customer either didn't take it and they buy it higher from somebody else, or you just undersold and you didn't really offer the customer the proper valuable product.
Very true. So you said it absolutely correct. Yes, I love that. I love the diagnosis with the doctor. So here's what I want you all to think of, and because it's different industries I was doing the coaching with, but seeing the same problem, there are different solutions to it. So here's the first thing I want you all to think of. When you're dealing with any customer, you have to be curious. Like that is where you need to start from. And if you start from a position of genuinely being curious, you actually put yourself in a better position. And here's the other thing I want you all to know, because this is where clients, this is where salespeople fall short. The reason why you don't want to mention your product or service, it's because most likely, depending on where you are in the transaction, even if it's your first time call, the person already knows your name, your company. There's no need to repeat it yet. However, if you ask the right questions and the customer eventually realizes that the questions you're asking is to help them understand the problem, they will be the ones to say, oh, so I'm guessing that's what your company does. Or I realize that's what your company does. So trust me, a lot of the times when I converse with people, I make no mention. Like my profiles are, especially if it's on social media, my profiles are optimized, the information is there. Why am I spending time talking about myself when I need to talk about the customer to understand their issues? I need to understand them.
Yeah.
So you do not need to talk about yourself or your product or service. You only need to talk and ask you questions about the customer. And I was talking to Winston on this. If you do it like 3 to 5 to 10 questions, in between that 5 to 10 question mark, you are going to get the customer to ask you for information on your services. And when you have that, you have brought the value to the situation. You have brought value to them.
So let me flip it outside of a discovery, right? So what we're talking about here isn't just a matter of, so the thing is, the theme of tonight's conversation is stop selling, right? But the context of where we started, we're talking about when you're having a discovery with a customer. Let's take it outside of the realm of a discovery. I'll give you a couple of examples. So when I am doing webinars, right? Or back in the day when I was doing lunch and learns, we never spoke about the company or we never spoke about the brand that we were selling. Everything that we positioned was on the problem, right? And what happened is that either in the middle of the presentation or at the end of the presentation, we will get questions, and the questions will be so provoking enough that people will then say, okay, so because they already knew that they were coming, the how should I say, the invitation already indicated who they were coming to. They were either coming to Massey, they were either coming to Linden or Patsy or Sales and Profession or whatever it is, right? So they knew where they were coming to, and they understand what the brand gives. When we delivered on the day, we delivered based upon their issues, and their issues based upon how we took the time to research. When we presented it, that it opened up more questions, and that those questions give us the ability to ask more questions, and then we proposed solutions to their problems. And what did that do? That opened up the opportunity for us to do business. So again, we weren't even selling. We were saying, hey, from the work that we've been doing with these customers in your industry, here are 5 things that we recognize that could be issues. If you don't deal with it now, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we just spoke about what the potential solutions are. And then we asked them, have you tried any of these solutions? What have been some of the results? Have you not tried anything at all? What's the impact that you're experiencing? And that's where you raise conversations. And that gives you the ability to be an authority. And that's how you also sort of begin selling without selling.
And then, and Lyndon, Janella, hi, Jelena Smith is asking, can you repeat what you said about prescription?
So what I said about prescription is prescription before diagnosis is malpractice.
Yeah.
And for anyone who go ahead,
no, you go ahead for anybody.
And for anybody who's trying to catch the first thing that I said with everything that you do seek understanding, that's actually Proverbs verse 4, chapter 7. Or chapter 4, verse 7. Yeah, chapter 4, verse 7. Proverbs 4, 7.
Let's talk about this one, Lyndon, because you went through this experience as well. We mentioned it before. When you don't spend time understanding a customer's issue, which is why you need to keep asking questions, you run a strong risk of underselling, which means you miss out opportunities to upsell, and you also miss out opportunities to cross-sell.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I'll give this example, like you could share yours too as well. Can't remember you had it in the automobile, but a lot of my background came from phone sales. And again, the biggest argument was they would just be order takers. Whatever the customer company saw and asked for, they would take. And I always used to argue them back and forth in particular. And if anybody's watching this in particular from Trinidad, there's a period in Samsung's history. This is like 2018. Yeah, 2017, 2016. No, 2016. Where the J2 Prime was running the dance. But the J2 Prime had one big particular issue. The phone RAM was little. So people used again, you're buying a entry level car to go and work the quarry in Sandy Grande to pull rocks. You was buying the phone for the wrong reason.
Right.
And the biggest pushback I had from reps in the stores was customers don't have the money. I said, that is wrong. You are wrong, and I could prove it to you. And then a day in the store, a lady came in a time asking for a phone. Let's just say she was asking for like the Samsung A10. And my thing was, oh, why is it changing your phone? Notice how innocent? I was like, hey, how come you changing your phone? She's like, oh, the one I had fallen crack. I was like, oh, that sucks. I was like, what phone is it that fell and crack? She had a low-level phone, a low-end phone as well. I was like, so how did it crack? She's like, well, I was at my site where they was building my home and taking pictures to send for my husband. And, the phone fall because it's on the second story and it fall down to the ground and it cracked. I was like, oh, that sucks. I was like, how come you're sending pictures to your husband? Is he not in the country? How come you're sending it to him?
Right.
Well, he working offshore, so I want to make sure I'm sending pictures and the updates because he's also talked to the contractor and stuff often. I was like, ooh, so that sounds exciting. I was like, does he like how the pictures look on this current phone that you're sending? Well, I just had to send a couple for him because sometimes it's come out blurry, and if it's too dark, I always had to make sure I'm reaching the day when the sun bright because this camera really had the best flash. So you would probably want to make it easier by having a phone that'll take better and faster pictures, right? Yeah, something that could work out could be better. Right, no problem. But let me ask this. Since you're taking a picture of your house, how many angles you had to take? Boy, if you see how much pictures, every time I had to send my husband a pictures, about 20 pictures. I was like, so you want something where it could take one picture and capture the whole house? Yeah, cool. So what about the falling of the phone now? Because you sound like you might be on this site for the next year. It's like, yeah, well, it's about another 6 months to 9 months, so we're going to be there doing stuff. I was like, so you want something that even if it falls from the second floor, it could take a little bang. So you probably need a case to protect your phone because she took out the phone by then. And she said, and I said, because this one didn't have a case. She's like, yeah, so I'm definitely buying a case. No problem. I was like, do you mind if I show you 3 options based on what you were telling me so you can decide what might be a best option? She went from a phone that was costing $1,000 and paid $2,500 for a phone.
So $1,500 more.
Mind you, and case, and screen protector.
With accessories, right?
Now, mind you, here's the important part with this. The customer took the money straight out of her bag, and that's what I showed the reps. I was like, everybody who fight me down and say they didn't have the money, look where she had the money. I was like, what you don't understand is that we budget, but if you show value, what I then do, and this happens in entry level, say like a customer, if you're dealing with a big B2B organization, I take the budget from elsewhere because I've understood the urgency in getting this problem solved.
Yeah.
So, and you should be glad because you don't sell in that other department. So that is not your problem. Your customer allocated funds to help you and bring your product and service on board.
Yeah.
That is why you need to ask questions.
Yeah. So
you just have to be genuinely curious.
Yeah. And the curiosity really opens you up, to be more inquisitive. And again, sometimes guys, we just go with real inquisition. Initially, when you're learning how to ask questions, of course, you will have these questions in your head. It may not flow from you naturally, but after, with practice, especially if you're doing this thing by yourself or in huddles or whatever it is, it will become a natural part of how you are having conversations with customers. Yep. I always have to repeat this. So I'm telling people, if you are sending an email, it is a conversation. If you're having a chat with a customer over WhatsApp, it's a conversation. So be inquisitive. Speak to the customer in a natural voice, in a natural twang, in a natural tone, but make sure that you are asking them the right questions so that those things fit with you. JB, you would have seen, I would have shared it in my stories today. Mm-hmm. Last week, a client told me that they use a different type of software to manage their stuff. You understand? And I said, you okay with me just doing some research on it because I'm not sure if that might be the best fit for you. You understand? So I had to get understanding. So without them having to tell me, I went and I did the research and I came back to them and I said, hey, listen, from what I'm seeing, this is this type of software. I'm not sure how well it fits in your place. You know, the lady came back and said, Lyndon, you're right. We have been looking, and I got a meeting for August because they can't meet before the end of July. But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, guys. Take the time to just understand. I didn't try to pitch the woman. I didn't say, well, I need to talk to you before because I have this thing I want to sell you. No, no, no. What are you using now? It's just like if you're doing anything with, even when we were doing copiers, our brand was SaaP. If a customer is using a Rico or Konica, we would learn to ask them, what is it that you're doing with it? What is your most used feature on the copier? Why is it doing so many copies? Is how come scanning is one of your biggest things, right? Because we want to understand how are you using this thing.
Yep.
And then it will help us understand how we align our thing against that competitor to talk to the customer. You understand? So with everything that you do, folks, get understanding, seek that understanding first, because it will help you position yourself the right way towards your customer.
Yeah. So that is essentially it. But I don't want to make it too long. That's essentially my key points. The key thing the two other points I'll put in here for you all in terms of this entire thing is that number one, when you do it this way and you ask the questions, it allows you to control the conversation, which is important. And again, don't think control like you're holding somebody by the neck and pulling them. It control as in you guiding the conversation along. Because remember, and this is something I say, if your conversation doesn't lead the customer to the next stage of the pipeline, you have just wasted both of your time.
Yeah. Because
Every conversation.
The customer starts the process over looking for someone.
Exactly. And that's where your authority and your expertise comes in.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing as well too is that your competition is most likely not doing anything like this. So you're differentiating yourself, which means that even if you have to do a follow-up conversation, the customer is most likely going to answer your call because you were able to differentiate yourself. And Maya said it correct, because you ask the questions so that you could actually said it too, listening. And I know Maya said this in particular. In her case, I know she always pays attention. She's an amazing active listener. So I'll put it that way. So I would honestly just say, like, in those points, folks, like I see you all missing out on too many opportunities to make a sale easy by just adding a couple of steps to the process and showing even more value to the customer and letting the customer buy versus they feeling like they were sold to.
Yeah, right? So JB, you remember? So let me give you all this example. When Jared and I talk about asking the right questions to understand, and I always remember that in one of our very first engagements, Jared, we asked a question. The conversation became so uncomfortable, not for us, but the more that we asked you questions, we got to realize that, wait a minute, this is not just a sales problem. We have a different problem here. And the person that we were sitting, the person that was opposite the table, when we asked the question, well, why do you need us for this? The person was able to sit back and say, well, I'll be honest, I'm not doing a good job. You understand? As uncomfortable as that was, we were then able to say, this is how we can help you. Because the person wasn't just looking for the services for the company. He is the person that needed the support. And sometimes customers would not tell you these things. But yeah, as who said that, Maya?
Yeah.
In your experience, you have to understand when there's something that I've heard, the question behind the question and the answer behind the answer. Sometimes you get a surface level answer, or sometimes customers ask a surface level question. So even if they ask the question, you have to say, that's a good question. Before I answer, tell me why it is that you asked that. So that's the question behind the question, right? And then the answer behind the answer is, they may give you an answer without really going deep. And then sometimes all you need to say by that answer is, what do you mean by that? Tell me what that means in your world based upon the answer that they give you. So it's me asking a further question. So the customers aren't, in 2022, customers aren't trying to be, they're not here to be impressed by how good we could pitch, how good we sound. Customers are impressed by how well we understand their problem and how well we can, we can have that conversation, articulate how well we can articulate the solutions required for the problems. That's what the customer wants. How well we could explain to them that, show them that we understand, and this is why. And that's where the whole trusted advisor thing comes um, in your thing. And again, JB, you would always say this. You could actually do this very early on in your social selling and your blogs, because you're doing that
Yeah.
front, so that when you do have the conversation, if the customer says, "Well, I read this blog," and you can say, "Well, what stood out to you?" I mean, guys, there's so many different ways we can go with this. I don't want to carry it too
So
far,
many.
but
Yeah,
at the
listen,
end of the
it's
day,
a rabbit hole. When
yeah,
you really study it, it's a
when you
rabbit
study
hole
it,
of how
yeah.
much information.
And again, sales is a study, and the better that you get with it, you get to realize you could do so many different things. And this is where you eventually get better. You begin differentiating yourself from your team, from your company, and of course from your competitors, and you stand out as that lone person who's just that sage that helps their customers properly.
Yep. So, in the words of Simon Sinek, start with why. If the
Yeah,
customer asks, and here's how you prep for this: role play with yourself or a colleague and start with why, and then write down all the questions that will let you understand what somebody needs with regards to your product and service.
yeah.
And
I
it
like,
like, yeah,
finish what you're saying, JB. I'll tell you. I'll
no,
just
no, no.
share
And
with
I'm
you
saying
this.
it will never be perfect, but if you start the foundation, you'll eventually get more bricks to lay, and the bricks will come from the customers who's given you the information,
Right. So
right?
the reason why I really like what Jared said when it comes to start with why, well, if you do that as a role play, see how far you get. So somebody says something why, and then you try to give an explanation, and they go why again. It's like the game of and. So you start, hey, so this guy was walking on the road, and somebody says and then they say but, and you have to continuously keep ad libbing to see how far you can get. Right?
Yeah,
So all
yeah,
this thing is and or but, and you have to be. So if you're doing that with your why, so I really like that gamification thing that you spoke about, JB, because if you're doing that for yourself or as a team, you will see how far you get, and those will be legitimate things that will be coming up as responses from your customers, and you'll be prepared with it now because you did it as a game within your team. I love that.
And Gail said this can be the topic for a future webinar. I agree,
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah.
I know creating the ideal client profile is one of the webinar topics we want to do. Jelena is also talking about another topic that we want to do, which is prospecting.
Mm-hmm.
But give me a further example, Jelena, because to me, when you specifically mention prospecting as you're reaching out to clients, my focus is not to sell. My focus is to get a meet. My focus is to find out your interest levels in the product and service that I'm offering, to see if it's enough to invite you to a meeting. Like, and that's a whole other topic I was stressed on, because the other thing I keep seeing, Linda, that it irks me, but only because we have experience in the industry and like we
What's that?
confident with it. Let me tell you some customers don't waste my time anymore. Yeah, I cut customers off and think quick now. Yeah, and it's not a cocky thing. It's that I know my time is worth as just as much as theirs, and I can't have a customer ringing me wrong and wasting my time.
Mm-hmm.
I have other prospects who are willing to buy from me, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
immediately cut those conversations. So here's the advice I always give a lot of my insurance and clients, Shelina. People who want to waste your time are always willing to meet. So anybody who quick to jump to a meeting, that is a red flag. They will never show up, or if they do, they would waste your time by never making a decision.
yeah.
What
It's
you're
easy
supposed
for
to be
them to easy to meet with them.
yeah, what you should be focusing on if you're prospecting is the person's interest level. Are you a 10 out of 10, or at least 8 out of 10, or are you a 5?
Right.
If you cool are not interested, if Jesus could come and they still don't care about my product, even though Jesus says so, why am I trying to sell to you? Why do I want to meet with you? I have no interest, none.
Yeah.
None.
So Maya is saying what worked. So Janella put a question there, but I think what we could do with that, JB, is either do a blog on it, or
Yeah,
either eventually do a live on it. So Janella, look out for that, and we definitely tag you on that.
especially in
Maya
terms
is,
of asking the right questions.
yeah,
Yeah,
Maya is saying what worked back then isn't going to work in the current, yes, post-pandemic period. And as a matter
exactly.
of fact, even though it was working back then, to me it was changing back then already, it was already changing. But I mean, again, what happened during the pandemic was accelerated, and then now with, Jared and myself maybe talking about it a little bit more, people are a little bit more aware of what insurance agents might be doing wrong, or what sales reps might be doing wrong, or what you're doing wrong as a sales professional. So yeah, it's wise to make those changes.
Agreed.
For now.
Gail, I'm enjoying everything you're writing tonight. How to
Yeah.
prospect for new clients. Lyndon, you would love that because even today I was thinking about it. That just boils down to having a good value proposition and
Mhm.
understanding each industry that you target as you're making the call, whether it's an
Yep.
individual or a company.
Yep. 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 Yep.
So I agree. I like that in terms of running it as a webinar.
Yeah. I have an idea for webinar number one. But yes,
I'm a
because
pen. We'll
yeah,
say it now.
webinar number one, because it's important and I think it's a gap in the industry, is understanding your numbers. And that is where
Ooh.
we will actually break down how three particular terms in sales metrics can help you better understand your numbers and your sales activities and stuff like that. So understanding your numbers is
That's why
first
I use
because
my friend, boy.
we're in the second half of the year.
That's why I use my friend, boy. I couldn't
And
think of
then
that.
we could get into the prospecting, because once we understand the numbers, it will lead straight into the prospecting strategies and how you want to do it and who you're going after and that kind of thing.
I
And
did
if you're
that.
losing time,
I did that with one of the teams I was coaching with recently in terms of breaking down the
yeah,
numbers because they have a specific target that they want to get to. And even if you, like when you see your numbers and you break it down day or week or month, you start to realize how achievable things are.
yeah,
It
yeah.
really makes it easy. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it also tells you if your number is realistic or not. I mean, let's speak about the entrepreneurs now, like us, you know. So for those of us who have particular targets, it would let you know, like it helped me understand, okay, so if I want to hit this number this year, then I needed to make some adjustments and I need to go after these type of clients. And
Yep.
I've been making an emphasis to live on that. So again, it's just a matter of focus. You have to put your blinders on, but you need to understand what your goals are and how to go about getting it. So understanding your numbers, I think, is going to be our end of month webinar.
I am absolutely agreeing with you on that. I don't think anything else should be first. So yes. So folks, that's it for us for tonight. I don't want to keep it too long,
Thank you.
But
Thank you, Gil.
nah, Gail on point.
Gil
Gail,
says she's going
and
for
we're
all the
seeing Gail
webinars.
for all these webinars. But you know where to find us on social. Send us a message, send us a comment. We would love to answer any of your questions to help you out with sales. But feel free to tag a friend if you found that this live was great. I'm gonna save it on Instagram. You're gonna have it on my LinkedIn page. Please share it with a friend if you thought it
It's
was
going to
something
be. It
valuable.
is going to be up on the website as well. Look out for work that we are doing on the website. Jared and I are taking our time. We are not going into the space of a developer. We are working on creating it for ourselves because we want to sort of create it in a way that we believe kind of brings value to everybody else, and we may even ask for input.
Yes, agreed. So thank you everybody for joining the live. Truly appreciate it. Jelena, Gail, Nicholas, Dexter. Thank you, Maya, everybody. And of course, everybody, just wishing you all an amazing week ahead. My July started off crazy. So I'm absolutely
Yeah,
happy to
yeah.
see what happens to the rest of the year. And I wish everybody the same as well. Crush quotas, full commissions, and just great bonuses so you can do your heart's desire, what you got say money from your hard
Mhm.
work.
Yeah,
Have a good
most
night.
definitely.
Laters. Where's my mouse?